Prashant Lele, who is the Sales Director with India with Denodo. To give you a background, Prashant has more than 23 years of experience in Indian market and primarily in the middleware. He had worked in companies like CMC, TCS, who is a system integrator, BA System, Oracle, Teradata, 𝗍𝗂𝗏, and currently working as Director Sales for India at Denodo. Can we welcome Prashant with a big round of applause, please?
I hope I'm audible. It's a tough time to give this presentation today, especially after very good presentations and considering the time slot. So 2 promises from my side. I will finish within stipulated time, the first promise. And the second promise, I will give you food for thought. The rest of the part is definitely available outside. They are going to serve the lunch. I'm going to talk today about how data virtualization will impact the AI/ML projects. Let me move to the next slide. Thank you. So the agenda for me is what are the challenges, what are the alternative logical approach, and what are the benefits for that. So what exactly is AI? For a salesperson like me, it's like ability to learn and take a decision based on the experiences. Very simple. 2 big components into it. A code, which is nothing but the algorithm. Either you write that algorithm or you buy the licenses from the many products which are available in the industry. And the data, which is fuel for this code. Based on this data, the code is going to work and your AI projects are complete. More the data you give to the code, more accurate your AI would be. Looks pretty simple, more like fill it, shut it, forget it kind of a scenario. Just get the data, put it in the code, and my AI project is complete. But is life that easy? No, the reality is 65% of the companies, they report that they have too much of data, what they are able to analyze. 73% of the data goes unused. So almost 3/4 of the data is not even used while taking decisions about your business. The knowledge workers who actually work, they are spending 44% of their workday on the unsuccessful data activities. So it's not only loss of time, but the more frustration because these are unsuccessful data activities. While 33% of the knowledge workers, they say that they waste too much of time in preparing the data. That's the reality. The survey was done in March 2022 by Millimetry. Now, obviously, if this is the reality, there are some challenges into it. What are the challenges? And to understand those challenges, we need to first understand what is the typical data science workflow. To start with, you need to identify what exactly is the business problem that you want to solve. Once you do that, you have to identify the data that you are going to use to solve the problem. So once you identify that data, you need to get that data to one place. That's the second step, data ingestion. Then you need to do the data cleansing, get it into the useful format. Then you want to analyze that data, get it at one location, one format that can be consumed by your algorithm. So you prepare that data to input into the algorithm. After that, the actual work of executing the data science algorithm will start. And then towards the end, you would do the visualization, the insight, and share that data with your management who can then take a right decision on that. Now, which activities are taking more time? Analysis shows that 80% of the time for this data science workflow goes into finding and preparing the data. 10% goes into analysis part, which is the part done by code or your algorithm, and the remaining 10% in terms of visualizing, taking decisions based on that. Now, why it is taking 80% time in finding and preparing the data? First part, it's an ongoing activity. You keep on adding more and more data sources to make your AI project which are giving more and better output. Second part, the data could be scattered across multiple locations, cloud, on-premise, it could be available in public domain given by government, or it could be somewhere in some other countries. And the third part is all these data sources could be in different format, and your algorithm would actually need data in a certain format. So what organizations do today or how they work, on the left-hand side you can see various data sources, and on the right-hand side you can see the data consumers. Now, there are many data consumers in an organization. Take the example of my particular AI project. So I could be one of them in terms of the AI or data science kind of project. I do analysis, what I need. I do analysis that I need data from these 3 or 4 different data sources, and then I do a point-to-point integration to connect to these data sources. Then I write the ETL scripts, and then I run those costly ETL scripts to get all the data. There are a lot of good cloud-based or on-premise, cost-effective databases where I would put all that data at one place. Then I would make it in one format, and then I will make it available for the analysis purpose, put that into my code. Now, in an organization, there are multiple such projects going on. If I am the owner for my project, my colleague is going to do something similar. He is going to create another point-to-point integration, get the data, make another copy of the data, make it in the useful format that we can consume, and he is running his business. But AI/ML projects are not the only data consumers in an organization. There are data governance tools, there are analytical reports, there are operational reports that you want to create, and they all want to consume the data to do their job. So what is actually happening is we are creating a lot of point-to-point integration, lot of copies of the data. In fact, the survey shows that every organization, on an average, is making 20 copies of the data, and it is somewhere stored within the organization or on the cloud. Of course, there are cost-effective solutions available to store that data, but do you really need 20 copies of the data of your enterprise? I mean, what is going to happen 5 years down the line? We are almost duplicating the data within a year or two, that kind of a scenario. I move to the next slide. Is there any approach that can change this? Do I really need to copy the data? Keep it. There's a cost for the ETL process, there's a cost for the database licenses, and there's a cost for the services part. So there's a logical approach instead of the physical approach that we just saw. And in that logical approach, create a layer that will sit between the data sources and all the data consumers. Logically integrate, manage, and deliver the data to the data consumers who want to consume the data. So you don't need to make multiple physical copies of the data. Let the data remains at the data sources wherever it is. Simply connect to these data sources. Ask all the data consumers to connect to this layer, and this layer will serve them the data. They don't need to copy the data. The layer will also not copy the data. It will simply get the data from the data sources as and when required on a real-time basis and make it available for the consumption. Now, to create this kind of layer and work in an organization, of course, it would need a lot of features and functionalities. The basic functionality they would need is they should be able to do the data abstraction, because if you don't want to copy the data, do the data abstraction, create a metadata, so you exactly understand which data is lying where, and then it can be used for the benefit of the business users. You also need a real-time data integration, because you are not storing the data anywhere. You are going to get it from the data sources as and when required. A lot of people will come back and say that if I fire a query on my data sources, and there are multiple data sources and there are multiple users, how are you going to see the performance? How are you going to eliminate the latency? So there has to be a smart query acceleration kind of a technique which will help you in executing your query at much lower time. Since you are giving access to all the data consumers to this platform, you want a unified security and governance layer where you exactly know who is accessing what data and when, and you give the authority to them to access that data, and only the authorized person will be able to access the data. And you also want to have an advanced semantic and an active data catalog, because a lot of reports, a lot of users, you want to log into the catalog, you want to see the data sources, you want to search the metadata, you want to search the reports that are already created by your colleagues. So you need all these features. Only then this logically integration and manage and delivery of the data is possible to replace your physical model. Now, let me come to the point how Denodo will fill this gap. So we have a platform, a data management platform that offers data integration. The style in which we offer integration is data virtualization. So underneath are various data sources. It can be structured, unstructured or semi-structured, and it can be anywhere across the globe. We have this 150 plus built-in connectors as a part of this platform, and using those connectors or adapters, you can connect to these data sources. Moment we connect to these data sources, we do data abstraction, create a metadata, and store it with us. Now to give you an example for that metadata, if you have a CRM application having terabytes of data into it, the metadata for that would be a simple table for me, which will have information that which column of your database has what information. That's the only thing I would create and store with us. Once I do that activity, I would fire a SQL query, and I will give it to my business users, and they would treat Denodo platform as a virtual database. Even if your underneath data source is semi-structured or unstructured, you would still fire a SQL query on Denodo because Denodo is a virtual database for you. Denodo in turn would actually understand that to execute that SQL query, I need data from say 3 different data sources. They are in different formats, JDBC, ODBC, JSON, REST or something like that. Denodo would also understand that the business user who is firing a SQL query is using a particular reporting tool, so I need output in the form of JDBC. Or I want to expose this data to my business partner and it has to be in the form of XML. And we support almost all protocols and formats. So your underneath data sources can be in any format, and the output, the integrated data on a real-time basis, what you will get, should be in a specific format that you want. That can be managed by this layer. We also have the AI/ML recommendation. So platform is actually rewriting the whole query internally without knowledge of the business users, and the only criteria for that is my query execution time has to be lowest. So there are a lot of techniques in the platform that platform will use dynamically if you allow the platform to use. Something like parcel aggregation push down, where it will give some kind of work to the underneath data sources so that the query execution will go down. It could be summary tables, it could be caching. We have almost 30 plus such techniques, and the appropriate technique will be used by the platform dynamically. And we also have a dynamic data catalog. I have shown it here because it is for the business users, but it is part of the Denodo platform. It's a Google kind of a search available, a dynamic data catalog. You can search metadata, you can search data sources, you can share the reports and view within your team members, and all those features are available in that platform. The security part. What happens is you maintain security and governance at the data sources. So at each data source, you have to go and define who has access for what. What would happen in case of Denodo is if you have Active Directory and if you have defined the role-based access there, we can simply connect to Active Directory and understand that role-based access and security and follow that. Denodo as a platform is also offering a row level, a column level, or even an individual cell level kind of a data security. You can do the data masking for that so that you can share the data with the business user what exactly is authorized to access. Right data to the right people at the right time. That's what we say in this case of platform. And of course the query optimization techniques that I've already mentioned, the AI/ML recommendations that mentioned. And if you have data on multiple clouds, because a lot of the companies are multinational companies and they are not authorized to get the data from one country to other. This is specific to pharma industry. Or you have a lot of data on multiple clouds and there is no way you will get all the data physically at one instance. We have this hybrid or multi-cloud kind of model where you can create a data fabric kind of architecture using Denodo, where Denodo will be physically installed at multiple clouds, but they share metadata with each other. So it's logically a one layer on top of the platform. So I mentioned about the logical approach instead of physical approach. I mentioned about Denodo, but obviously it's a different approach. It requires a lot of courage and a trust to take the new approach. But we are not new in the market as such. We started our journey in 1999, and why I'm sharing that is you can trust this platform. We are only into this, more than 1,000 customers across the globe. Around 20 countries, we have our own office. Gartner is putting us here as a leader in the Magic Quadrant for data integration. We are the only one here in the leaders quadrant who is having a only logical approach. The rest all are there because they have logical approach and physical approach also. Forrester is also considering us as a leader in the enterprise data fabric. So just to share some credentials about Denodo. And this is something which is my favorite slide. I would say this is like, I proudly mention wherever I go. On the axis side, you can see the critical capabilities as per the Gartner for the data integration tool, and on the other axis you can see all the vendors who offer data integration. Gartner has given us perfect 5 score in the data virtualization. 5 out of 5. Something like 6 sixers over by 𝗓𝗏𝗂𝗂 or something like 𝗏𝗂𝗂𝗶𝗁 who scored first time 10 out of 10 in the gymnastics. For last 2 consecutive years, we have scored 5 out of 5. If you see the whole table, nowhere you will see 5 out of 5 score for any capability for any vendor. Now, what are the benefits with the logical approach? Because I talk about what is the physical approach, we all are using that today, and your business is happy with that kind of stuff, or you are happy with that kind of stuff after spending a lot of money. But what are the benefits you will get with the logical approach? First is you can leverage all your enterprise data. It becomes very easy to connect to any type of data source using built-in connectors. So you are not limited to less amount of data just because you have to spend less amount of money for that. Because more data you feed for your algorithm, more accurate result you will get. So you can leverage all the data, you can empower knowledge workers to drive innovations. They don't have to spend a lot of time in getting that data, they can actually drive innovations. It will greatly reduce the time needed to explore and prepare the data. So if you have hired data scientists for doing a certain job, let them do their job. Let them not spend time in just arranging the data sets which they can consume. The data inaccuracies can be eliminated, resulting in high quality data for the analytics part. And the knowledge workers can focus on their time in deriving and delivering the value. The facilities are better, collaboration across the data community are also possible using this. The other benefit you get is you get the real-time data access and delivery. With all the data integration techniques that we have seen in the physical, end of the day you update your data sources, end of the day you update your data warehouse or data lake, and when you fire a query next day on that, it's a historical data. And there are some cases where you need a real-time input like risk management or fraud management. It reduces copies of the data. You don't have to make multiple copies of the data. It gets all data uniformly governed because you are defining your row level, access level, column level rules, masking at one layer at the Denodo. It creates an audit report in terms of who is accessing what data and when on a real-time basis, and you can export that for the external audit. On-the-fly data masking is available. We are consistently, security management is possible, and then data lineage is possible where you know from where the data is coming to execute that particular report. And this is something which I said, but Forrester had actually created this survey, this report after the survey, total economic impact of data virtualization. They went to few of our customers who are using the technology for more than 3-4 years. The whole report is available in the public domain, but the output, if you want to see the summary of that, is 83% reduction in time to revenue, 67% reduction in data preparation effort, and 65% decrease in delivery times over ETL. So these are the benefits that existing customers and various departments from their side have mentioned. And of course, the ROI is 408% with the payback period of less than 6 months. I would encourage you to see the detailed report which is available in public domain. Next steps, as I promised, I'm going to finish within stipulated time. We have Denodo available in the marketplace, whether it's GCP, AWS, or any vendor of Azure, or any vendor of your choice. The evaluation version is available, 30 days eval. You can download, start using. Our team will support you during the evaluation process, and we will also offer the consultation support for 30 minutes from our Denodo cloud specialist during this evaluation process. We have a booth outside, so I would be pretty happy to take questions or meet you outside the booth, fix up a meeting, give a detailed presentation to you for the Denodo platform and the approach that I explained. Thank you very much for today.